Has this ever happened to you? Man, I can't wait to show you this deck. I just got my last foils in today. The whole thing is blinged out now. Fuck! If you've played card games for any period of time, then you no doubt have dealt with the problem of curled foil cards. Because of how the foiling process works, an excess or lack of humidity will either expand or shrink the cardboard, but not the foil layer itself. This leads to cards warping, ranging from just a slight bend to Magic the Gathering's Commander Legends foils. Now, this is an issue if you just don't want your blinged out deck to look like crap, but it's especially a problem for competitive play. Curled cards are considered marked cards. Essentially, if you have a few specific foils in your deck that are a bit curled, you'll be able to see the curling through the sleeve, and you can either stack them on top or you will just know what cards are coming up next in your deck, and both of these are obviously cheating. And while you can bypass this by using all non-foil cards, this doesn't extend to Flesh and Blood's one card type, Fabled. These very expensive cards aren't run in that many decks, but if you do want to run them, you're gonna have to make sure they're flat. And if you live somewhere like I do, where the summers are very hot and humid and the winters are very cold and dry, it is almost impossible to keep your cards from curling. So what can you do? Well, you can get yourself some of these two-way humidity packs. You've probably heard of silica gel packets used to prevent curling, but this only works if you live in more temperate climates, as those simply remove humidity. Two-way humidity packs work a little bit differently, where based upon the percentage of the packs that you're using, it will hold the humidity at that level, either adding or removing moisture from the closed environment. While there are many different percentages that you can buy, the ones that I'm using for this video are specifically the 58% packets from a company called Boveda. I personally found these in 10 packs on Amazon, but if you can't get them from there, you may have to do a little bit of digging yourself. Now, actually using these is absurdly simple. Grab yourself a sealable container or a plastic bag, put the cards in with the packets, and wait. And while you're waiting, if you want to hit that subscribe button, I would greatly appreciate it. I personally have found the most effective way to use these packets is to put them directly against the back of my cards and then put them in a plastic bag and seal it. This allows me to do 2 cards at once, although you absolutely can add more packets, or if you're trying to do a few cards at once, you can just cycle which one is against the pack every few hours. In fact, while it's recommended that you wait 24 to 48 hours to uncurl your cards, I have personally found that it takes a lot less time than this unless your cards are severely warped. I actually use these to uncurl a couple foils from my Draw My list that I was taking to a pro quest just a couple hours later. I also decided to test out a stack of cards in a sealed container with just 1 packet in it. It was going to just be a week, and then that ended up being 2 because this video got pushed back. However, I did check the cards after a few days and they haven't really changed since then. The container size that I was using allowed me to rest the cards along the edge of it, and so they were suspended in the air above the pack, and the only thing that ended up happening was the cards that were above came out flat, and the ones that were closer to the packet ended up curling the opposite way due to gravity. However, if this happens, you can simply just turn those ones around the opposite way and leave it for a day or 2 and they should straighten themselves out. You also can put them in a book with heavy objects on top, which has always been the go-to method to uncurl foils. And this age-old method works far better when you have added or removed humidity from your cards. This has allowed me to not only flatten out foils for my Draw My deck, but also one of my copies of Eye of Ophidia, which is one of those Fabled cards that only come in foil. And the last thing I've done with these humidity packs is stuck them in my deck box with my blinged out decks, and it has helped prevent the cards from majorly curling. There is a slight amount of curling, but it's nothing insane, so unless you're going to a major competitive event, you will be fine. However, if you are going to a higher level event, you can simply take them out, put them in a bag with those humidity packs without the sleeves on, and within a couple hours, the cards will be flat again. Your mileage with these two-way humidity packs will likely vary, and so I highly encourage you to do some testing on your own and see what works for you, especially considering that your climate will likely be a lot different than mine. The humidity levels where I live rise and drop drastically at different times of the year, and so the curling in my cards is usually pretty egregious. And again, I want to reiterate that I am using the 58% packages. If this does not work for you, there are other percentages, and so you can try around with different ones to find what works best for you. Quite frankly, nothing is worse than pulling or buying a very expensive foil card and then not being able to play it a week later because it's curled. So I hope that this video has helped you so you can continue to play your expensive, shiny pieces of cardboard. If you liked this video and want to help support me, consider either becoming a channel member or checking out my Patreon. There are different levels of bonuses like early access to videos, signed cards, and even custom hero cards. And to those who are already supporting me, you have my deepest and most honest appreciation. It's because of all of you that I can continue to put in the work to bring the best content I possibly can to the Chadliest community in the TCG space. Thank you, my friends.